So the Lakers make their first official free agent signing of the summer, and it's none other than Jake LaRavia. So who is he, and what can the organization as well as us Laker fans expect from him going forward? Let's talk about it. Before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor and drop a like on the video, and make sure to subscribe and follow me on all my social media platforms. That way you don't miss out on any future Lakers and other sports content. So, Jake LaRavia, what can we expect from him as a fan base? Well, let's start with the basics. He attended Wake Forest University and was drafted back in 2002 by the Memphis Grizzlies. He spent 3 seasons with the Memphis Grizzlies and finished up last season with the Sacramento Kings. Let's take a look at his stats. For his career, he's averaging 7 points, 3 rebounds, and less than 2 assists per game. And that's on 43% from the field and 37% from 3, as well as 75% from the free throw line, which isn't that great. But more importantly, let's take a look at his stats from last season. Last season with the Sacramento Kings, he averaged again 7 points, about 4 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game on about 1 steal. And again, that's with 48% from the field and 43% from 3. So obviously none of these stats scream at you. He didn't get a lot of minutes with the Sacramento Kings or pretty much throughout his career. He's a fairly young player. He's only 23 years old, but he does have good size. He's about 6'7", 235, and he has a 6'10" wingspan. So I think we can get a little bit more insight in terms of what he can contribute to the Lakers by digging a little bit deeper. So let's look at his stats per 36 minutes. Now, per 36 minutes, he's averaging 12 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, almost 2 steals, a half a block per game. And that's on 48% from the field and 43% from beyond the arc. But again, his free throw shooting, there's a lot left to be desired. He's only shooting about 68% from the free throw line. So that's a quick overview of his stats. But I was able to do some research. I watched some film. So based on the eye test, I can tell you he seems to be a pretty good scorer. He's got a nice handle. He's good at creating separation, and he's really good at making tough shots. He's also a solid shooter. He's got confidence. He's not afraid to let it go. And he's not a super athlete, but he's fairly athletic. And when you compare that with his size, it's pretty deceptive. He plays above the rim, and he has good spatial awareness. He's good at creating contact. He's good at attacking spaces. He knows who's around him. He doesn't really get pressured. He's very patient. And these are good qualities that you'd like to see in a young player. Now, defensively, he's not a great defender, but I don't necessarily see him as a bad one either, particularly because he competes on the defensive end. Whenever you have a player that isn't just super athletic, he's long, and he's just kind of designed to be that 3-and-D just lockdown defender, what you want to see is if they are willing to at least compete and give effort on that end. And it seems like he does. So that's always a really good foundation to build off of, because again, he's only 23 years old, so there's still a lot of time and room left for him to improve and reach his potential. So a lot of you are probably thinking kind of the first thing that I did once I got notification that the Lakers signed him. And I think it's interesting. This was the first move that the Lakers decided to go with as soon as free agency hit. But I do have a theory on this. LaRavia is not going to be some big time immediate impact player, obviously. But when I look at him, I watch his film and I study him and I start to put 2 and 2 together. I see this as almost like a Dalton Connect replacement. Their games are fairly similar based on what we've seen from Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect, he's a really good shooter. He's a flamethrower. He can score. He's streaky, right? And I think we can see similarities with Jake LaRavia. So that's what I think this signing was for. I believe that LaRavia is essentially a replacement for Dalton Connect. And why is that significant? Well, because Dalton Connect is someone who has drawn a lot of interest across the league and who the Lakers have proven to be willing to include in trade packages. So this could signify that the Lakers might have something on deck and Dalton Connect could be included in a trade here soon. That's just my theory on it. That's me kind of putting 2 and 2 together, because otherwise I don't really see him as a Dorian Finney-Smith replacement. It could be, but I don't think so. I think this is more in line with the type of prospect that Dalton Connect was. And if we're going to lose Dalton Connect, then let's replace him with someone that shows similar promise. Because think about it, the biggest trade that the Lakers can make, or at least the most impactful one, is for a center. And what's likely going to happen if we are going to acquire a starting caliber center, aside from DeAndre Ayton, of course, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is if we trade for a center. Somebody like Nick Claxton, somebody like Walker Kessler. That's going to be the significance of a trade. And it's likely that Dalton Connect is going to be included in that type of trade. Because think about it, free agency hit, DeAndre Ayton has already been bought out. So why aren't the Lakers going for him now? Why wasn't that their top priority? And I think it's because they still have at least hopes or maybe a good game plan that they are going to trade for a starting caliber center. And they don't really see someone like DeAndre Ayton as a backup center. And quite frankly, I don't think DeAndre Ayton would work out as a backup center anyway. From what we've seen in the past, he's someone who thinks very highly of himself. And to be fair, he is talented. And I think he is a starting caliber center. And if you look at the center market right now in free agency, he is the #1 target. So you're not going to sign him as a backup. And based off the news that we've seen, Brook Lopez is no longer on the market. He signed with the Los Angeles Clippers. Day'Ron Sharpe re-signed with the Nets. Technically, Clinton Capella is still on the market. He originally signed with the Houston Rockets. However, it seems like the Rockets were a little bit overzealous and they may not have enough cap space to complete that deal. So I think technically Clinton Capella is still available. So we'll keep eyes on that. But my point is, in terms of the free agent market, it's really DeAndre Ayton and that's it. So if that was their go-to option, that should have been their #1 priority. And it wasn't. It was signing LaRavia. So I don't know. Again, that's just me putting 2 and 2 together. That's how I make sense of the situation. But let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think the Lakers sign Jake just because he might have a breakout season and they see something that we don't? The Lakers do have an excellent scouting department. Or are you thinking more what I'm thinking? This could be a Dalton Connect replacement because DK is going to be included in a future trade package, hopefully for a starting caliber center. Let me know what you think in the comments. But with that being said, man, that's pretty much it. That's Jake LaRavia in a nutshell. I think he's a solid young player, could be a good scorer, a decent shooter. He's got good size and he can use that on the defensive end, at least to compete. This is someone who can possibly come off our bench and provide valuable minutes, but it's not going to make some sort of all-star caliber impact. And this is like a huge free agent signing that's going to push us over the top to try to compete for a championship. No way. But I think he's a good young player and he can contribute. Also, something I forgot to mention is that Austin Reeves and Jake LaRavia actually have a pretty good relationship. They've been seen in public together, hanging out. They've been seen working out together. LaRavia had a recent interview with Laker Nation over there with Trevor Lane and them, and he kind of spoke a little bit more, gave some insight on how he linked up with AR. They clicked and they've just developed a pretty strong relationship. So that's pretty good. It's little things like that that can help with team chemistry. And we already know Austin Reeves. He has a really good relationship with LeBron James, and I think he's developing a strong relationship with Luka Doncic. So in that aspect, I think LaRavia was a good sign. And if nothing else, he can contribute to the team chemistry in the locker room. But that being said, I mean, obviously, what I've already told you, he is a pretty solid player too. And now that I think about it, their games are fairly similar in that aspect as well. Austin Reeves, he's also a good ball handler. He's a tough shot maker. And these are all traits that we see from Jake LaRavia. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Are you happy with this signing? Do you think this was a good move? Do you think they could have used that towards something else, to another deal? Free agency is this is it. This is the time of the year. It's exciting. So hopefully the Lakers are not done. And obviously the trade market is still going to be on and popping as well. I'm going to be paying attention to Shams' page. Those notifications are going to be going off, and every time I get one, I'm going to be looking at my phone and hoping it has to do with the Lakers and how we can improve this roster. But in the meantime, if you want to keep up to date, or at least if you want to hear my opinion on the situation, again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on all my social media platforms. I genuinely appreciate your support, and make sure to keep up because I'm going to be giving you guys as much content as I can to keep you up to date. Thank you so much again for your support, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Take it easy.